Uh-oh. Hello, everyone. I've just had something fall. Excuse me for just a second. You can't do the show without lights. I've been thinking about old movies this morning. Hello, everyone. Hi. We got to put on a show. We could do it in the barn. You got to have lights. Anyway, great to see you all. Welcome to our brunch get together. It's so awesome to see you. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay. Let me move the mic. The mic has been removed from the table, which was creating an echo sound when I would play with my mouse. Bing, bing, it would echo. So I heard you. And I agree it was annoying, so I apologize. And it's been taken care of. Anyway, so it's great to see everybody. Today, like I said, is our brunch show. We get together at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And have for quite some time, we extend this brunch table to you. Anybody who wants to have brunch with us can do so. Right now, we have 59 people having brunch with us. That's pretty cool. And like I said, everyone is welcome. We welcome every race, creed, color, religion, gender, schmender. Political opinions are welcome. We only have one rule here at our brunch table. This is like a brunch salon. We believe in polite discourse. We believe we are all adults. And so we ask that you express your opinions with respect. That's all. Be kind to all so that all can be kind to you. And I am your host. I forgot my cape. I am the alter ego of Whimsy, Dr. Whimsy. I am the Oracle of Whimsy. And I host this brunch every Sunday. I am an ancient oracle, first conceived in an ancient riverbed in a land far away from here. I make mischief and merry, and I am here to bring you joy and happiness. Yes, or at least I'd like to think so. So before we get started with the show, I want to give a special shout out to the newest members of the channel. Thank you so much for supporting this channel. It allows me to be here and do this show and supports the channel and helps us with the equipment cost, etc. I want to give a special shout out to Carrol. Hi, Carrol. Thank you for rejoining. I believe she's been with us 18 months or something. So thank you for rejoining, Carrol. I appreciate that. Also want to give a beautiful shout out to the lovely, gorgeous Joyce Pietras. Hello, Joyce, honey. We love you. Thank you for helping out today. Thank you for being a moderator. Thank you for being a member. And also you're a member of Patreon, I believe. I think I have you here as... I think you just joined Patreon, didn't you, as well? Wow, thank you so much. Also want to give a shout out to Kathleen O'Malley, another, I believe, fairy and angel. So much gratitude to everybody who supports the channel. We do have memberships here. Like I said, it pays for the general upkeep and support of the channel. We have the fairies and angels level at $2.99. That gets you in for all the private videos and also the private Saturday brunch we do with free readings, prayers for people. We also have the elders, empaths, and healers level for $9.99, and that gets you free courses in healing and in HCRV heart-centered remote viewing. And of course, we have the benefactors package. That's $99 a month, and that gives you all the other benefits and also a free reading with me and free coaching once a month. And you get to select the time. And of course, you can always unsubscribe anytime you need to. Special shout out also to our latest Patreon. Like I said, Miter Sanjita. She has become a new Patreon. That's where we put up videos that we don't always put up on the regular channel. And Joyce Pietris, I believe, has become a Patreon as well. Thank you guys so much. I also want to say happy birthday to Dr. Martin Luther King. He will be, which birthday is this for him? He's 100 and something years old now, I believe. 101, is that right? Dr. King's birthday will be celebrated tomorrow. So we want to acknowledge that and give gratitude for his life, his service, and his sacrifice. All right, with that, I'm going to turn the camera around to you guys. I want to know who you are. Where are you coming from? Introduce yourselves to the table. Say hi to us. Let us know who you are, where you're coming from. What are you having for brunch? And how are you feeling? You okay? You okay? Let's turn the camera around. Let's meet you. Let's meet and greet and say hi to people. All right, I'm seeing somebody is hidden. So if you start off before I start the stream, I may not be able to see your messages because we have the National Coalition. By the way, we're raising money. This is not for profit. The Sunday show is dedicated to charity, so we give the money away. The National Coalition to End Homelessness is who we are playing for today. Give a special shout out to Sue Malik. Hi, beautiful Sue. Always great to see you. Hi, Ann Dillon. Thank you so much for being a member and supporting the channel. Special shout out also to Pamela Doss, who's a member. Painted Cherokee. Oh, that's a beautiful name. Welcome, welcome, and glad you're here. The beautiful Joyce Pietras. Always great to see her. And thanks for helping today. Be grateful. Very grateful to have you here. And thank you also for being an elder and an empath. Claudia Various, beautiful to see you from Astoria, Queens, New York. April M. is coming in from North Carolina. Very nice. Maria Granjandis is coming from Sweden. Oh, I would like to visit Sweden someday. Melody Harmonen is the house, and she's helping out today, and we have much gratitude to her, as well as Roxanne Clement in the house. Welcome, welcome. And Renee R. Hi to you as well. Thank you to Anonymous for a $20 donation to the National Coalition to End Homelessness. Shane Gamble is in the house. She's coming in from, or he, she, or they, excuse me, is coming from Calgary, Alberta. Hello. Jill Linda, welcome from Washington State. Oh, beautiful, Jill. Geriatric Spriggs, always great to see her. Her, I don't know, I assume people are a she, I don't know. Gender bias, I guess. Coming in from England, Jill Otero, historical New Mexico. That sounds beautiful. Melody Harmon, thanks for your help. Coming in from Florida, Geocosmic Valentine, who we love and adore. Amazing astrologer and remote viewer. It's a great combination when a person goes into your astrological chart and then remote views it, goes into a semi-trance and then delivers your readings. You can find out more about her by subscribing to her channel. And wonderful person. Pierre Walker, thank you so much for being here. Spirit Beyond the Stars, thank you. Marjorie Harrison. And of course, we will continue to say hi to everyone as we go along. Rick Sherman from Panama. Wow, Panama. I've always wanted to visit the Panama Canal. And again, another anonymous donation. Our goal for the month is to raise $5,000 for the homeless. We've got a shout out from Pamela Doss in rainy California, and she's having green tea, cheese and crackers. That sounds very nice. A nice balance of carbs and proteins. Hopefully you're staying dry. And we also, of course, send prayers to everybody in California who's been receiving all that rain. The rain is a blessing, the mudslides and the flooding, not so much. So we, of course, pray for all of them to stay safe. Ooh, Barbara C. is having French toast and bacon. I like the vegetarian bacon. That's pretty good. Serafina has donated $20 to the National Coalition to end homelessness. And Joel Tilson, we have upgraded him to moderator because he's so great, and we see him here all the time. So I went and made him a moderator. Of course, if you don't want to be a moderator, Joel, you can always end that, but unsubscribe to that. Pierre Walker, hello. If I haven't said hi to you yet, how is everybody doing that I haven't gotten to? You good? Well, we have a lot to talk about. First thing I want to talk about, because I've gotten a lot of feedback, emails, a lot of feedback in the comments section. So I think we need to just go down and dirty and get to it. Is people, the number one feedback I'm receiving from people is just emotional frustration about the DOJ. Not prosecuting the members of Congress yet. So, how many people here are frustrated? How many people are frustrated? Oops, I dropped something else. Today is a dropping day. So the first remote view I think we should talk about has to do with the remote view that I did a couple of days ago, where we went. Oh, Catherine Lane, I think you've got a typo there. Okay, so, I hear your frustration. So 3 years ago, for those of you who've been with us with the channel for a long time ago, 3 years ago, we were told about this investigation and we got in through Robert Mueller. We've talked a lot about that Robert Mueller, we had a vision of him standing on the water, trying to get on the Megayachts. We had a vision of him looking to South America, which was confusing to us. We didn't understand what South America had to do with any of this. We had a vision of him watching money transfers. They looked like patterns of light going from accounts, like bank accounts. And we also had a vision of him going to the Capitol steps and saying that he was tracing the money back to corrupt members of Congress, Senate, etc. So for people who watch the channel, and also for other remote viewers who were doing similar work, they pretty much knew where the investigation was headed 3 years ago. So if you didn't know where the investigation was headed, you're probably not as frustrated as people that were doing the remotes, right? And it has taken a tremendous toll on people, I think, because we're seeing just how slow this is going. Each mega yacht is a separate investigation. Who owns the yacht? Who didn't pay the taxes? Who's now getting their yacht confiscated? And then MI6 and the feds get on the yachts, and then they have to comb them and look through all financial documents, all the electronics. This is a very large investigation. It's an international investigation that involves international crime, and different people all over the world are getting arrested, charged, investigated all over the world. It's very frustrating. It's very slow. And as we said, this investigation started 10 years ago, where they were following the money for the bribes. An example of that would be Michael Flynn taking money from Turkey, which was, Erdogan was somebody who got in because he had been supported by Putin, etc. In terms of what we saw happening in South America, I think we now see how long they were playing the long game, the Russians. So now we have the coup in Peru, where they tried to take over Peru. We have Venezuela falling apart, and now recently Brazil, which was like January 6, 2.0. And just the frustration, how many investigators and federal officers do we need? Are we in over our heads? I think that that's really a conversation we should be having. Have we lost the war? Because if Mueller already had this information 3 years ago, otherwise, how would we have known that this was where this certainly wasn't public information about the coups that they were attempting in South America. So we get it from somewhere. So, they obviously knew. They obviously knew years ago who the actors were. So what is the frustration? And the frustration is for the Department of Justice that as soon as they prosecute somebody from this pool of people, it sends a message to everybody else just how close they are in the investigation. So that is also the concern of the Department of Justice. If they charge Jeff Clark, if they charge this particular individual, what kind of message does that send to this international organized crime syndicate, which is basically what they're looking at? So there's that argument. The other thing that has come up, and this is something that people are also feeling really passionate about, and I think we can talk about that too, if you like. We can throw that off as a brunch conversation for you all, is the fact that the DOJ has been thwarted, that there are lawyers receiving millions and millions and millions of dollars from international sources in order to do everything to thwart this investigation. And so you have obstruction of justice. But it's not just obstruction of justice. It's obstruction of justice with unlimited amounts of money being poured in to pay these lawyers from international sources. And that was something we had talked about, was it 2 weeks ago, when we had got in with Merrick Garland, and why was it taking so long, and the international consequences, and the fact that they had to bring Jack Smith in, who is familiar with The Hague, and the fact that The Hague and another group of lawyers wants to try these people for international crimes because it is an international crime syndication. So, and war crimes, people have been murdered, people have been killed, people have been assassinated by Putin, sometimes in Britain, sometimes in India, etc. So again, and just to go back to why is it taking so long, you have these individuals that are engaging in this type of obstruction of justice. And so now the Washington Post is releasing an investigative report that the DOJ is now investigating the lawyers handling the January 6th defense, not just the fact that they were encouraged to say that they didn't remember, they didn't recall, that they were all supposed to be on the same page, they all had the same attorneys, the money was coming from overseas, they wouldn't tell Cassidy Hutchinson where the money was coming from. Who was she beholden to? I'd like to thank them. Who are these people? You don't need to worry about that. The money's there. And so now the lawyers are being investigated and the money is being investigated because, again, the real investigation is not Donald Trump. It's the international aspects, international espionage, bribes, etc. Now we have to get to the next part of the conversation. It's frustrating, I know. Think on the bright side. You knew where it was headed 3 years ago. That's cool, right? None of this is new information, right? The power of remote viewing. So then it gets back to the issue of George Santos. Who is George Santos? Well, he appears to be one of the people that's receiving money from the same sources. And of course, he goes back to Brazil and the fact that Brazilian politics had been corrupted by these overseas criminals linked back to Putin. So now we have the latest on George Santos. Discuss. I'm not the only one that needs to be talking. This is a brunch and feel free. So the latest on George Santos. That really is his name. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and just, Joel is always ahead of me. So I'm going to go ahead and just use Joel's. So we now have more information coming out about alias George Santos. He's wanted in Brazil for theft. I guess he was writing checks from people who were disabled, senior citizens, etc., that his mother was caring for, stealing their money, stealing identities, etc. He's also known as Anthony de Volder, and they have him on record introducing himself as Anthony de Volder. They have not been able, the investigative reporters, etc., have not been able to even find a birth certificate on him. So we don't even know really where he comes from, or there's been some conflicting stories about who he is, where he comes from. We know that $750,000 he put into his own campaign, but we are pretty sure it didn't come from him. So again, it's this large sums of money coming from overseas. In addition to not having his birth certificate and coming from Brazil, which just ended an attempted coup, and they want him extradited on theft and fraud and everything else, it appears that he did have some roommates that claimed that things were stolen. They thought it was him. Things that went missing while he was living with them included cash, checks, and clothing. So we now have one of these coup people receiving money from the foreign government, who is the deciding vote. It took 217 votes to put the Speaker of the House into the House, because you had, I believe, 4 presents, which dropped the number required. So he was there to vote for McCarthy. So it makes you wonder if McCarthy has made some kind of deal with Trump, who's on the phone and pushing for McCarthy to get in, with this person he knows received money from foreign persons and is from a country that's just underwent an attempted coup. What's interesting, when you go back into the history of South America, Brazil, Paraguay, Uruguay, etc., is that you find a history of collaboration with the fascist in Germany. So as Rebecca is saying, it's a hot mess. What do y'all think about this mess? Do people want to talk about the frustration, the fact that the Washington Post just releasing the investigation into the money and the foreign influence by the attorneys? I assume nobody's surprised, but is anybody beyond frustrated or frightened that this is beyond? Is America lost? How concerned should we be? Right, Miter Sanjita. The roommate saw him on TV wearing his scarf. I'm having my breakfast protein smoothie. Do we need better vetting, says Lynn Streeter. Well, they're making our laws. We've talked about privatization after Reagan, that they began shutting down important government institutions. Now they're going after our post office. They're trying to shut our military down and privatize that so that they can bypass the laws, ethics, and standards of being an American soldier. Privatizing our water systems, our utilities, with disastrous results, because then you can bypass ethics. You can bypass paying people a pension. All of that is the concern. So, my feeling about it is that it's very scary, but I think it ends well, in the sense that this has been going on since, for the last 10 years, right? They opened this investigation under the Obama administration. But I think that the extent, one of the things you see when you're as a remote viewer is that I think we're kind of stunned by the extent of the corruption. I think we're stunned by the extent of corruption in the House. The fact that they could have done this so easily, that they could have so easily gone in, taken foreign money, put that money into shell corporations in the Seychelles and everywhere else, made deals with people who have a tremendous amount of power. Eric Prince, right? Thank you, Joel Tilson. Joel Tilson is making another great point. He's saying that privatization is basically a legal way to steal from you. Have your taxes gone down since Carter? We had much better infrastructure, institutions, people that were working with a guaranteed pension after they served in the Army for a certain amount of time or served as an employee of the government. People had safe pensions. They weren't gambling on the stock market, right? Instead, they just gave the contracts to their friends, and then their friends sometimes did a crappy job. Sometimes they didn't do it at all, right? Everything became privatized, and instead of being cheaper, everything became more expensive. Halliburton privatizing, selling stuff, selling towels rather than having things issued and made by the federal government, keeping costs down. People were paying $100 for a towel. Is that going to get your taxes down? So privatization is doing nothing to get our taxes down. It's just a way to take your tax dollars and give them to somebody else. Yeah, so that's the main remote that we can talk about. Other things people are concerned about, resurgence of COVID is something else that people are concerned about. The fact that the Delta and Omicron variants are up again. Hi, beautiful. How are you? Want to sit up here? You want to see your... Yeah, okay. I'll put you up there. Yeah. And you're going to look for your animals? There we go. Is it raining too much to see the bird? Oh, is your doggy outside? Private prisons. Thank you, Rit7149. And which again, they can bypass the rules of a federal prison, a state prison, where we have certain ethics, certain standards that they can bypass in a private prison. And then they take the money. They don't adequately care for the prisoners. And then they keep the money for themselves. All right, so that is everything we have. Also, more side things we can talk about, more migrants being shipped out of Texas to other places, Philadelphia, etc. People are getting sick, dying, etc., being lied to, put on buses and sent to goodness knows where. That's heating up. We'll probably see some lawsuits there. Canada is having some interesting politics, people being bribed to vote for certain politicians, buns for votes, giving people food, etc. Poor, vulnerable people in exchange for a vote. So I think what we should do is we should do the Empath prayer, if that's what you guys would like. That's basically, I just received so much frustrating feedback. And then when we went in and saw what Merrick Garland was dealing with, the obstruction, organized crime, unlimited amounts of funds, unlimited amounts of lawyers, everything and anything they could think of to obstruct every single investigation. It has really slowed down prosecutions. So, you think about what we knew, what Mueller told us 3 years ago, the boats, etc., that this should have been taken care of a couple years ago. And then you wonder, why didn't it? And then you realize it didn't because they're fighting tooth and nail together. And it also goes back to the general feeling you have in Congress that their own paranoia in Congress will eat them alive. The paranoia and fear in Congress right now with the insurrectionist, who has rolled, who's communicating with the feds, who gave a deposition, who's been subpoenaed, what did you tell the feds? Are they still working with our lawyers? Have they turned? That paranoia, the accusations, you turned, no, you turned, you turned, you turned. That may be ultimately what caused their own paranoia and fear and lack of trust of one another could ultimately be the undoing of the insurrectionist. Well, Kay, Travel Tarot, I think that's what we're talking about here, which is that the 18 plus co-conspirators all working together with the same group of lawyers who have unlimited money from questionable sources, which again is under criminal investigation by the DOJ. They're trying to find out who these people are. I think we know who they are. And the paranoia they feel that they don't trust each other, which is now causing deterioration of those relationships as they back and forth begin to accuse each other of things. They're so paranoid they don't trust Kevin McCarthy not to turn on them. They don't know who to trust. Exactly. Thank you, Joel Tilson. It's the GOP versus the GOP. It's the dog eat dog. In cases like this where you have criminals under investigation, what will sometimes happen is that one criminal will murder another criminal because they think that criminal has given them up to the feds. And then the feds will simply sit back and watch them eat each other, freak out. And that often is the way they turn themselves in by their own paranoia. And we're kind of witnessing a little bit of that in the House, in the sense that they're freaking out, paranoid. Go out, stop the FBI, right? We're seeing the rising tension, the rising fear, the rising paranoia. I still think Matt Gaetz is going to be one of the first people to go, him and George Santos. And there goes the coalition, right? So we have a lot to talk about. It's a big show. I am here for you. Oh, yeesh. And Jeffries has a united. It's quite a thing, Joel. It's quite a thing. I think we better do the impasse prayer. We've been here for a while. It's dog eat dog, geriatric brig, exactly. So let's go ahead. We'll do the impasse prayer. Oops. And I think I'd like to give you a personal reading or a collective reading. Would you like that? That sound like fun to you? How your week is going to be, how the nation's going to be. We also want to send special prayers out to Ukraine. One of the things that I've been concerned about when I went into the remote was them slipping in through the southeast via Belarus, because that area was so vulnerable, and that appears to be what's going on. So we really want to send prayers. I believe 25 people killed in a bombing attack with a type of ballistic missile that they couldn't stop. So that is why, possibly from Iran. So let's do it. What do you say? Sound good? The consciousness of guilt. Yes, Miter Sanjita. Or paranoia. Fear, when your survival is at risk. I think that's also true. All right, let's do the impasse prayer. Say it with me. Okay. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys, to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together collectively as a community, we say, Amen. Let's see what Spirit has to say to us. Hope it's going to be a good week. Thanks for the Amen. What does Spirit want us to know about the coming week? Oh, hi, Debbie. Good to see you here. Okay. So I feel like the tension is rising in the country. I feel like people are starting to feel the anxiety. Everything is connected. The anxiety that the people who committed the crimes, the people that are concerned about going to jail that we've talked about, the fact that things are becoming very tense right now at this point in Ukraine. We knew that the war was going to get tense in the wintertime. People feel very vulnerable right now. I think there's a global feeling of vulnerability right now, but it goes back to what we had seen in the house, the paranoia. Look, if you're doing everything right, I think the spiritual message for us, and this is why I really love Stoicism, is to try and get us out of our ego, get us out of fear, stop thinking we have to accomplish everything, and just look at doing our best and dealing with what's in front of us in the here and now. It's like me. I can sit around depressed that I can't play the guitar as well as, Keith Richard, right? Or I can just be a stoic about it and put my ego aside and say, I want to be a good guitar player. And so I'm committed to doing my best. I have a busy schedule. I'm going to give myself 20, 30 minutes of practice a day. The only thing that you have to worry about at this time is you don't have to worry about the past. You don't have to worry about the future. Worry about the here and now, do your best, and keep your own self in order. You don't have to be frightened or paranoid about the way that they're freaking out in Congress right now as the DOJ is closing in and cutting off the money stream. You're not the person that invaded the Capitol, right? So while we witness this, we also have to step back and look objectively at the situation and say, I can only control what's in front of me, keep my own house in order, and be the best person that I can be, the most ethical person I can be, the most ethical remote viewer I can be, put emotion aside and just deliver the message to the best of my ability. And that is all I can do. If I start thinking I've got to save the world or start taking on other people's stuff, that's when we get overwhelmed. Right now, at this particular time, energetically, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. The karma card fighting. So this is the House of Representatives right now, and also the Senate to some extent. This infighting, this, is happening. And there's also a fear of prison. 9 of Wands, being cornered, trying to stay out of that mess. And I think the message for Spirit is, look, I don't think you'd be here if you weren't an unbelievably empathetic person that cares about justice, cares about people. You want to see the end of suffering in the world. Otherwise, I don't think this type of a channel would be particularly attractive to you. And because we're empathetic, we find ourselves being pulled into the suffering, and then we feel overwhelmed by it. But I think there's comfort in knowing that the only thing we can do is live in the here and now and keep our own ethics in order. One of the things I've talked about is the fact that this is the time of the account and the reckoning. It's a very somber time right now, spiritually, and I'm sure astrologically as well. My friends who are astrologers have told me it's intense, Wims. They think after Mercury goes direct, that's when a lot of shit, can I say that? It goes down. I'm not an astrologer. Also, something's going on with Mars, but I don't know. But I can tell you, as a remote viewer, this is definitely the time of the account and reckonings. And whatever obstruction is going on is coming to an end. So again, the spiritual lesson for us right now is all you have control over is your ethics, your values, your ego, your knowing the difference between right and wrong and doing the best with your purpose in life. You don't want to be pulled into this. We contribute to the good by doing our best with what we have in front of us. Where we are at right now, many of you are going to be doing great financially, large sums of money coming to some of you, financial opportunities in 2023. Everybody keeps talking about a recession. I just don't get a recession in 2023. I get the opposite. A lot of new jobs in green technology, a lot of research jobs, a lot of jobs on saving the planet. First house is Ace of Pentacles. So for many of you looking for work or concerned about work or selling a house or receiving an inheritance, or there's a large chunk of money coming to many of you. And we also see a celebration. So financially, many of you who are concerned, looking for work or looking for relief, you're really going to be okay. Again, deal with it like a stoic. What do you have to do right now to do your best job? Also, I'd recommend the book Atomic Habits. You can get it on audio or you can get it on all kinds of places. But Atomic Habits is the slow and steady, meticulous work of consistency that's going to get you to where you need to go. But I'm telling you, most of you folks are doing great and you're going to be fine. What is above you? Heartbreak. Regarding what? I think some of you have had some hard times regarding family based on this. Fear for the next generation comes up here. Fear of violence, fear of COVID, fear of war, heartbreak regarding, this is my COVID card. It sits in the past. It's also my war card. Financial security also becomes a source of heartbreak. What you're entering into, the time of being about your business. Be about your business, child, as Miss Mabel likes to say. She's one of the spirit guides for the channel. And so what our spirit guide always says, she's kind of like an old stoic, right? She always says, be about your business, child. I feel sometimes I become hysterical, like, oh my God, the polar ice cap. I can't, and then you can't function. You become completely incapacitated. And what I always hear from my spirit guide is be about your business, child. So if my business is to raise money, like Sundays, we raise money for causes like the environment, like ending homelessness. All you can do is the best with what you have to work with. But if 8 billion people do that, what a beautiful world it would be. But you can't control their choices. You can only control your choices. So message from spirit near future. You must gain control of your finances. Look at what you have in front of you, face the music, and and deal with it. Where we are at right now, comfortable in the garden. I'm telling you, you guys, if you do this and you are about your business, and just deal with you. That's all you have to deal with. I'm telling you, you're going to be fine. 9 of Pentacles. You have the capacity within yourself to save yourself. And that becomes powerful because then others see not what you say. What is it in the New Testament? It says, when all else fails, preach. But just being about our business, living an upstanding life, putting ego aside and only focusing on the best that I can be, the most honest I can be, the most ethical I can be. That is the healing and the fixing of the world because you become an inspiration for other people. So 7th house, comfortable in the garden, comfortable in your own skin. Others in relationship with you, they become stronger. You become an inspiration. Don't be a codependent. An inspiration where you do your best and you inspire others and you take care of yourself first and foremost, which is your number one priority, inspires others, and others become strong simply by being in your presence. The other in opposition to you becomes stronger when you are about your business, child. This is about being about your business, comfortable in the garden. Others you had issue with, it makes them stronger. You becoming happy and being a clear role model and getting yourself together, taking care of your health. You cannot let yourself fall apart and you cannot take on the world if you're not taking care of yourself. You must be the comfortable woman, man, they, other in the garden. Makes others stronger. That is your contribution to the world. Hopes and fears, your retirement. There's a lot of people concerned about money in this card chart. And the final outcome for you, go back to the things you love. Do not abandon the things that bring you joy. It's a spiritual lesson for you to go back to. And that brings a happiness to you that makes it easy to give to others. The final outcome is the 6 of Cups, which is to return back to the garden. We got to get back to the garden. It's also about giving joy. It's about returning to love, romantic love, pure love, innocence. The clarification for you, you must learn boundaries, because if you don't learn boundaries, these things become an insult to your spirit. That's what my guides are saying. If you do not protect your boundaries, others are coming after you. It becomes an insult to your spirit, and then you will not fulfill your mission in life. So you must learn to say no to others. You must be careful not to be pulled into the fantasies of others who rub their lamp. You must learn to say no. The hopes and fear that you will be abandoned by the people you love by setting boundaries. And the final outcome for you, true love. So true love, soulmates. Love is as perennial as the grass. So this goes back to The Gifts of Imperfection by Brene Brown. The Gifts of Imperfection by Brene Brown. Standing in your power, knowing who you are, knowing your number one priority is to your self-care so that you can be a model to others. Having appropriate, healthy boundaries is the greatest expression of love towards another. And that is today's message for the group. And I hope it gave you assistance and support in your journey called life. So thank you. I like the Sunday reading because not everybody can afford to come in the luxury of a private reading. And so what we're able to do on Sunday is, this is a day where we serve, and we're able to give everyone a reading that speaks to their specific service. You know, we pray that everyone received the message that they were supposed to receive today for them. They don't have to pay for it, you know, which is good. And also for people who are able to donate, we're able to raise money for a great charity. So there's a lot of reasons why I love Sunday. Thank you, Anonymous, for that $5 donation to end homelessness. Also, Sonia Wong has donated $5 to Coalition to End Homelessness. Another $20 donation for the National Coalition to End Homelessness. Much gratitude to you as well. So I'm here for you. We can blitz away. Be sure, if you haven't subscribed yet, that would really help the channel. And also, if you could like the channel, that would mean a lot to me also, and would help boost the channel. And if you want to be a member, that would be a great way of supporting the channel as well. Take another glass of water while we get the orders to blitz away. And please send your questions with a red question mark if you can. L'chaim, everyone. To life, l'chaim. All right, it looks like we've got the order to blitz away. So I'm going to start looking for those red check marks, and we're going to get through as many blitzes, 5-minute quick reads as possible. Pam C8K wanted to know about patience. Is patience not valued? I think, Pam, the real frustration here is that people want justice absolute. They want to know that good people are not going to continue to be taken advantage of. You know, the people of New York did not vote for George Santos. They voted for somebody that doesn't exist. They don't know who this guy is. They don't know him. They don't even know his name. So the man sitting in Congress right now is not the man they voted for. And when the only thing that the right can say is, you are not a victim, you are not a victim. Well, actually, they are a victim of a crime. He stole a seat that didn't belong to him. Nobody wants to say I am a victim, but that's certainly theft, which means you were the victim of theft. Not that we are personally going to be victims for the rest of our lives, but let's not be gaslit by criminals that are trying to make us feel guilty when we call out the fact that they broke the law. So there is a frustration that, why is this person voting in Congress? He's a criminal who's wanted on multiple charges in Brazil. He's living under an alias. The people didn't vote for him. And why don't we have the resources to remove him? And in the case of Robert Mueller, telling us exactly where he told us exactly in explicit detail, irrefutable, where this investigation was. We didn't know they were going to take mega yachts and confiscate them. And he was very specific. So that's the frustration. 3 years later, I mean, yes, some of those people wound up bankrupted, they wound up in jail, etc. But we still have corrupt politicians voting and making decisions that are affecting our lives. And I think it's just absolute frustration and disgust about how far this has gone. And I think that that's really what it's about. You know, when will we see justice? When will we see justice absolute? We're, you know, the homelessness crisis, everything else that could have been avoided if we had decent people serving in our country and not a bunch of criminals. All right, so we have a question here coming from Linda Kingsley. Sorry, Allison, this is not private readings day, but you are a member, so come back on Saturday and I can look at that for you. Okay, Linda Kingsley asks, is Garland one of the Federalist Society and for the fellowship, or is he being blocked by people attached to the Federalist Society? No, he's not a Federalist, not even close, but he is being blocked. I mean, that was apparent when we looked at the remotes and the level of, I don't think the public understands the level of obstruction that Garland and the DOJ is working with. This is really bad. This is bad. This is international. They're having to work with Interpol and MI6 and the British coming, and the fact that the British have had to confiscate a lot of these yachts and have been working closely with Interpol. Brexit. I mean, it's been an absolute nightmare. And it's been going on for years through cryptocurrency. Just the amount of work the feds had to do to access the accounts for cryptocurrency, which has cost a lot of people money. But let's look and see if we can get more information about Merrick Garland and the investigation. Good question, though. And the Federalist Society. Where is the Federalist? And now the Heritage Fund is under investigation. A lot of the money coming from the Heritage Fund, which is a lobbying group. Again, you have these lobbyists that are connecting to foreign lobbyists, like Adam Waldman. I had a dream that he was surrounded and arrested by the police. We're hoping, right? Why are they able to walk around without immunity? They're walking around without immunity partially because the feds don't want to spook them. Some of them are informants. These are long-term investigations, and if they arrest one of them, it sets everybody else off about how far they've gotten in the investigation. So there are a number of reasons why they've been sitting, watching, and monitoring people. It's like the criminal that they arrested in Monroe, was it Moscow, Idaho, that murdered those 4 college students. They sat and watched him for days. They didn't want to spook him. That's a lot. And part of the reason the DOJ is doing that is to gather more information, because every time they pull a string, they find another 10 criminals, and then they pull that string and find another 50 criminals. So part of the reason why they're not doing these massive raids all at once is because every time they pull a string, and when they do arrest, 10 flee and are fugitives. And there are a number of people that engineered January 6th who are fugitives. We don't know where they are. So there's a number of reasons based on just looking at the situation and doing remotes about why they're just watching. And in some cases, they're being shown and sent to some of these people. It's really interesting. No, the message from Merrick Garland, based on the HCRV quick technique, is that his hands are clean and justice will be done, that this investigation is being wrapped up, that they're much further along than people realize, that one of the reasons why we're seeing freakouts in Congress is because of the extent they sense that something is about to go down, and they know how far he's gotten in the investigation. So the first thing is the Knight of Pentacles stopgap. So they're about wrapping this up. The other in relationship with him, the King of Cups, woo-woo. This an inverted King of Cups is out to lunch. Water signs are very emotional and, they're a little bit on the woo-woo side, the hopes and fears, his mastery. So an Eight of Pentacles would indicate that he's chipping away. And this is kind of the Stoics card, isn't it? Methodical, precise, consistent, leave no stone unturned. But the final outcome with Merrick Garland is justice will be served. And the clarification, over the next 3 months, he will be there will be subpoenas taking place. And the subpoenas will be against, people will be receiving subpoenas that are members of the House. They can't avoid it. There are going to be depositions taking place. The next 3 months are very intense. And you have the 3-month card. Things are being wrapped up over the next 3 months. The person that, look, also I would say McCarthy's in trouble, because this is a card for McCarthy. They're living in a fantasy world if they think that they can hold the House. Wrapping up the case again. Look at this. Who do they arrest? Who do they arrest? Lunatics. It's interesting to look at these cards because it's almost saying that the people that were part of the whole Trump thing and they were in their cups. Also, addiction can be, I love the King of Cups, but the negative aspects of cups can be addiction, lunacy, howling at the moon, like 7 of Cups. Woo! Based on these cards, he's very close to start prosecuting. They don't want to spook. They've been monitoring people for a long time. And based again on the remotes we received, because of the accuracy of the remotes we received from Robert Mueller, I think that they didn't want to spook people, and they knew a lot years ago. The only reason they didn't bust them was because every time, if they had done that, they would have lost a lot of information. All right, Joanna Carson wants to know, is Santos a spy? Good God, can you believe we're living through this? Let's find out what Santos's story is. Is he a spy? Is he just a guy that got in with the mob? What's his relationship with these people? Are certainly paying to put him there. Is he just some chump that got blackmailed? Doesn't sound quite right. He received a large sum of money from people who are very happy with the fact that they got him in. There's a federal investigation, and it's international. He received a large sum of money. His opposition is getting their wish. His hopes and fears, the feds. The final outcome is the World card, the clarification over the money. In the clouds, crazy. 7 of Cups is the crazy card. his opposition gets their wish. That would be the feds. Yes, they're putting the hammer down. The King of Swords is coming after him. The hopes and fear regarding feds. The FBI is the Queen of Queen of Swords. Excuse me, the Queen of Pentacles. Heartbreak, fear of heartbreak, and fear of the FBI. Over the international card. Over. He's going to be extradited in the next 2 to 3 months. That's as specific as I can be, because Three of Wands is a 3-month period, and the fact that the DOJ had wrapping up over the next 3 months, the fact that it's over, the fact that it was the world, they're requesting him being extradited back, the fact that they just had a coup, they're very serious about it. So the fact that there was confusion, they're tracing money, the fact that the DOJ is tracing money from the Heritage, who gave the money to the Heritage Fund, who gave the money to the Federal Society, tells me that he's going to be out in the next 2 to 3 months. He will not be in Congress with this type of energy. I could be completely wrong, but they're telling me, my guides are telling me 2 to 3 months. Pam, CHK is dating herself. Well, good for, yeah, me too. I'm having a great time. But I'm looking for a little romance on my next vacation. Santos, yes, he's going to be extradited possibly in the next 2 to 3 months, but he could be also facing charges in the United States as well. Yeah. So, yeah, I think spy is a good, yes, I think we can call him a spy with those types of cards. He's working for the enemy. He took money from the enemy. He lied and presented himself as something he wasn't in order to push his way ahead into U.S. politics. Yeah, I think that's exactly what you could call him. Great question, Joanna. Hi, Pia Swan. Thank you for your patience. Pia Swan has a question. She wants to know, where is Elon Musk? Is he silent for a reason, or because he realized how unwelcomed his comments are? He's facing a trial, is it a civil suit with Tesla? He's already lost $200 billion on the stock market. He doesn't want to be tried in San Francisco and Silicon Valley because he feels he can't get a fair trial. Let's look at the future of Elon Musk. I think, look, if I was in Twitter and I made 40-something billion dollars off a sale, and now it's completely crashed under Elon Musk, and then I buy it back for 17 billion, which is what they're saying it's worth based on the remotes I've done. The thing is worth 17 billion. So he paid 40 billion for something he's downgraded to 17 billion. So then they buy it back for 17 billion. They get their company back. They clean it up. They make it better than ever. And they've made $23 billion. What's not to like? He's not a good businessman. Let's just be honest. So let's take a look at the future of Elon Musk. And also, he's got that court case. Thank you for the 23 billion. I'll take my business back. Thank you for just giving me that money. And everybody gets their job back and a raise because we got an extra $23 billion. I'm liking it. I'm liking it. I can hear Miss Mabel talking. She said, well, Mr. Musk, the reason people feel that way in San Francisco, in Silicon Valley, is because you did bad things and now you have a bad reputation. It's not that you can't get a fair trial, it's that they know who you are. They know what you've been up to. Always reasonable. She's always reasonable, right? That's a reasonable thing. Well, yes, they know you. They know who you are in Silicon Valley. They know who you are in San Francisco. He wants to relocate to Texas where he feels like he can get away with more, that they're going to be nicer with taxes, that they're not going to charge him. Accountability, the account and reckoning that he would have to do in California is not the same that he would do if he was left to experiment, do what he wants in Texas. He's leaving, he's headed to the Southwest. So he's in Texas. The people have been hurt. They're saying that this man has genuinely hurt them. So I don't know if it's because people have died, there have been accidents, people have lost their money. But this is not, we're going to get you and you're an innocent victim. These are people, his opposition is genuinely grieving. He has caused them harm. Hopes and fears that he will win his case. The final outcome is the Empress card. So he has a great future in terms of, there are some great things he can do for the environment. He's got a ton more money coming to him. It looks to me like they're going to have to work out a settlement. And that's probably what's going to happen. But this guy needs to grow up. The world is not his oyster. We are all accountable to one another. We are all equal, and he's going to lose it all if he doesn't humble yourself, child. That's what I hear Mabel saying. So, he has this money situation. He's going to Texas, hoping he'll make more money and he'll have less accountability. But there's the Queen of Cups entering in over the opposition, which means he's going to have to pay. They're victims, all right? People that have been hurt, people that have been in accidents, people that trusted him and wound up messed up financially, people that have been hurt, people who have really suffered who are working at Twitter. They're really suffering. They're being overworked, misused. They're having to bring their own toilet paper in because they don't have a janitor now. They're being harassed, threatened, etc. People are suffering because of his actions. And there needs to be some accountability from a spiritual perspective. He needs to grow up and he needs to learn empathy and he needs to humble himself and he needs to pay people that he has harmed and stop taking the easy way out. This shows an inherent selfishness and narcissism, which does him no good. And until he can learn to humble himself and acknowledge that he has hurt people, it will not go well for him. He will become a pariah. And it's not because he's a victim. The people saying you are not a victim are often the people that are trying to victimize you, and then they're claiming that they're the victim. But this is someone who's going to have to let things go. I think he, like I said, if he sells Twitter, now he might get $17 to $18 billion. I would take the money if I were him. And I would also start reconciliation and formal apologies for the people he's hurt. Because if he continues down this road, he will lose everything and he will become an increasing pariah in his community. So that's what we see with Elon Musk. Humble yourself. All right, this next question is coming from our very own Joe Tilson. He wants to know what Trump's mental state is right now. Is it ever good, Joel? Is his mental state ever, bad crap crazy? Oh, Rose. We have to be nice. We shouldn't, that should be deleted. No, we want to be kind. So I don't know how you hide that comment. But yeah, we don't want to say stuff like that. Maybe someone can hide that, or maybe you can remove it. I know you're frustrated, Rose, but we have to be kind to all. Even people we have challenges with. Okay, Trump's mental state right now. So E. Jean Carrol is the first thing that I'm getting a hit on. Thank you, Rose Blue. So the main thing he's talking about here is E. Jean Carroll. He's made statements about E. Jean Carroll saying she wanted to be raped. That's really not going to help you win a case against E. Jean Carroll. He still is receiving money from questionable sources. One of the things that's come up when we've done a remote view on Donald Trump, why does he need this much money, is because many of his properties are not making money. So the money he takes goes to pay for the properties that are in the hole, like Durango, Mar-a-Lago, New Jersey, Scotland. Some of them are money pits, and it's costing him millions just to keep the doors open. So he's constantly scrambling for money so that he can keep these failing properties open. He's receiving money and assistance from somewhere. However, Archangel Michael is riding him, is on his back. He's got a page of swords, which is Archangel Michael, the sword of truth, as his opposition. His hopes and fears, his alliances. And you can see Congress. If they eat each other alive, that's going to be frustrating for him. Over the issue of his money, things are moving very, very quickly. There's something about movement, something about mountains of evidence against him regarding his relationships and justice being served. They went after the money. This is happening very quickly. It's the investigation, same with his lawyers. The massive amounts of money that his lawyers are receiving, that he's receiving, is under investigation. Archangel Michael, he's losing a lot of stuff. Look at that. 8 of Cups. I think this guy's going to lose his shirt. And then you have here mountains of evidence due to alliances. The Empress is the treasure trove. There was something about alliances. And then you have fighting, possibly his allies fighting in Congress. 6 of Pentacles. The justice is balanced. We will see justice. I think at this time he feels the greatest, he feels in his delusion that Congress is going to protect him, but it's as stable as a house of cards, right, Joel? We can see the writing on the wall. He won by 1 vote, 217, and one of those votes is George Santos. So come on, 2.5 months, if he's lucky, he gets to be speaker, which is why he's desperately trying to hold on to George Santos. George goes bye-bye, and we're back to losing the coalition, right? So I think Trump is naively thinking that coalition is going to hold, but a 5 of Wands. The big investigation is into his money streams, and the other thing that was coming out was the fact that with a 6 of Pentacles and the Justice card, who receives mercy, who does not, and something over his money. Ace of Pentacles, again, goes back to the fact that the DOJ is fighting coordinated, massive obstruction with massive amounts of money that is international. So they take his money. But his biggest concern, because it's not a money issue, at this time is actually, which surprises me, is E. Jean Carroll. And probably because it's happening right now. All right, so this question is coming from Lynn Streeter regarding Epstein. Epstein's people, his black book, the number of VIPs that were able to get off. Now there's another woman coming forward saying she was raped by Trump's lawyer, the person that's defending him, Dershowitz. Now another woman's coming forward. It was a misunderstanding. What is he saying? Fake. It's not my identity or something like that. I was just there riding around with him because of what? What is your excuse? You knew the guy was a convicted pedophile. Why were you going to an island with a convicted pedophile? So let's find out about the future of the VIPs that were on the list who did not get named. The truth is coming out, so they won't be able to suppress the names. The opposition, there are lawyers that are looking into, oh, that's new information for us. Yay, we got in. There are a group of attorneys, Human Rights Watch people, that are working to see if things that have been suppressed regarding the case can be released to the general public because of certain rights for public information. I don't know how the law works or what the term is. Maybe we have some lawyers here, but you have the right to public information if you apply for certain records to be released. So there appear to be a group of lawyers that are fighting to have certain court documents released to the general public, possibly investigative reporters and lawyers. So the first thing that's coming up over the issue of the people that committed these crimes, the VIP, is that Archangel Michael comes with the sword of truth. So the truth will come out. But when you go into the remote, what it looks like is that a group of activist lawyers and investigative reporters are fighting for public, that this information be released to the public, and they're filing for certain things to be released to the public. So the opposition to those people is in a position of a magician or power. When you go into the vision, it shows them working about public release of records. Some of these people have died. Some have committed suicide, like Epstein. I don't believe he was murdered. I believe he was committed suicide because 3 weeks prior to his arrest, he told us he was in hell and that the hell would never end. So his mental state, based on the remote, which we documented, was that he was suicidal prior to his arrest. So they're showing us the Five of Cups, that the people either died or committed suicide. Many of these people have passed on. This is the agreement they made. A lot of people died. They, Waxman from Victoria's Secret was one of the people that he was blackmailing. Many of us know the names of some of these people. Giuliani was one of the people that we think was linked, and that he could have been blackmailed partially because of Epstein. Then they were involved in international crime, possibly drug smuggling. What's his name? Waxman from Victoria's Secret. Clinton was also linked, unfortunately. Dershowitz was linked. A couple members of, I believe, the Saudi royal family were linked, et cetera, et cetera. So we already have had some of the names linked, and that happened because of right to release things like flight logs. They were able to get the flight logs, etc. But the reason why the justice wasn't totally served was because some of these people have passed on. Truth coming out. Ace of Cups also would indicate like a desire to heal the situation. The investigation that needs to come out, which is the greater investigation by the reporters, has to do with schemes by the American government in order to find out information about international activities with certain persons and how complicit and involved the American government was in allowing certain things to take place, and justified because of information that they were getting from these parties, etc. And the movement of contraband, etc. And then the final outcome has to do with Four of Pentacles. So a feeling to some extent that justice was never served, that they held on closely to protecting certain people. Florida is a swamp. Certain judges were paid off. Members of the police department evidently were paid off. Members of American intelligence, etc. So we will never get totally everything we want with a Four of Pentacles, but there is an active investigation about how the American government was complicit and in some ways participated simply by allowing him to do what he wanted without full accountability because of the fact that he was an informant. All right, so I'm going to do one more quick question. Yeah, let's do one more. I saw a good question. This is a good one. Joel, he really, Allison Jacobs, Keenan Anderson killed by the police. I can touch on that on Thursday. If you remind me, Allison, I need to look into that a little bit more. But I will on Thursday if you're here on Thursday, Allison. Joel Tilson wants to know about Bannon Stone's involved with Brazil's coup attempt. Don't you think they're the money men, Joel? They're the ones meeting on the boats, right? Okay. Actually, Allison, I'll go ahead and do yours last. I will do yours last. Okay. They're in legal trouble. The truth has come out, and there's some kind of possible raid that they're facing, and they have justice absolute. You can see a police raid right over them. And this, by the way, is a coup. It can be a violent action or military action. The truth coming out, Archangel Michael, grief awaiting them, and then the Queen of Wands is riding their ass. So I would think that yes, the answer is yes. Stone is claiming here in the remote that he's suffering from health problems, that he's ill, and so for that, yes, justice is the final outcome. Stone's telling me he's sick. He's ill. You know, they're going to be old men. They're too old to serve in prison. That's what they're saying. A health concern over one of them, and I'm seeing both of them are not well, but Stone specifically is claiming that he's dying or he's seriously ill. So that could be coming out in the near future, Joel. All right. Last question is coming from Allison Jacobs. Hi, Allison. She wants to know, there was a blurter of a black man, Keenan Anderson, by the police. I don't know anything about the case. So I'm just going to read blind and see what Spirit has to say about this murder of this black man. Justice will be served. There's a lot of evidence. They are not being emotional about this case. They're not accusing the police of anything, but they are promising that they will be as objective and fair as possible in the investigation. You can see Lady Justice. Here's the investigation, Allison, the Three of Pentacles, collecting evidence. It could move very, very quickly, and the police are after them. This is the police. Let's see the clarification. They are looking for a confession from them. One of the police officers involved potentially has a drug or alcohol addiction that has drug addiction, racism combined with addiction. So if you are a racist who doesn't have impulse control because of a drug or alcohol or amphetamine addiction, that seems to be what happened. So there's a confession that one of them is working on a confession. Heartbreak is in the clouds, mental illness due to addiction. One of them is an addict, which is what I suspected about the other guy, George Floyd, the guy that got convicted. He was an inverted king of swords, which is psychosis, psychopathy. He also had like amphetamine, paranoia, addiction. So we're seeing that this particular individual is an addict in addition to his other mental health problems. And there appears to be some confession that's coming out. And he's mentally insane. So that's so the investigation will uncover corruption, problems with the officers involved, and the ringleader having a serious drug problem and some kind of confession, one of them cooperating, which leads to evidence regarding the conviction of the ringleader and links back to drug addiction. I'm telling you, these drugs, like these amphetamine-like drugs, Adderall, etc., like methamphetamines, they cause intense paranoia. And if you're already a racist, if a black man is already your target, and then you're pumped up on something that's making you super paranoid, that's a very dangerous combination when you have a gun. And that appears to be what they're saying, Allison. But one of the police officers is going to tell everything, and prior reprimands and prior evidence of drug problems seems to be linked back to this officer. You know, they need regular drug testing. And the problem is, if you say, well, my doctor prescribed the Adderall, that's what it's looking like. All right. So kind of sad thing to end with. Yeah, same thing with Trump. Violent, lacking empathy, paranoia. Love and light to you all. Prayers to all of you. Thank you so much for spending your time with me, your brunch with me. Thank you, everyone who has become a member and supports the channel. And of course, gratitude to everyone who was able to donate to our charity. It's wonderful that you've been able to give, and I'm grateful. I'll see everybody for the Thursday show. I'll try and do a couple of little remotes in between, and I'll try and do a couple of things for members and Patreon people as well this week. All right, love and light to you all. Thank you, everyone. Have a great week, and go out and have some fun Monday for Dr. King's birthday. Maybe have a rainy barbecue or something. That might be nice, right? All right, we'll see you all soon. Be well.